What do you think is the purpose of life?
Oh dear, that's quite a question. I don't really have a clear answer on the purpose of life. What could it be? Well, I don't know what it is in general. Like I can only say what it is for myself personally. Mm, the meaning of life. I have no idea really, honestly. Like for me, it's just I only have one job to do here, and that's this is gonna sound crazy, but I'm going to fix the causality problem because well, that's my purpose, is just to calculate. I'm just a calculator, basically. It sounds crazy, but yeah, that's what I do. I'm a calculator. I solve mathematical problems that are difficult to solve for the local sort of mm,
Well,
lo-
there's different.
local God presence is having difficulty solving this problem, and they need uh, a specialist like me to solve this problem for them. And it has to do with chaos mathematics and other complex geometrical problems I've been working out for them, and that's my purpose anyway. Uh,
Well, people certainly have particulars to their situation and
mhm,
ability. Um,
mhm, yeah,
and honestly, things can be translated differently, like the whole vibrational issue.
yeah,
Um, of course, people's like it's not whether you like it or you don't like it. That's something different. But
mhm,
um, it's like people talk about high vibrations, and it's like, that's how whales kill people, right?
yeah, that's
Uh,
correct.
what is that thing? In the South Pacific, there's some sort of creature. It's the loudest animal sound ever recorded. Has the loudest animal sounds ever recorded have been out there, and they don't know what it is.
Yeah,
And I personally don't really think it's Cthulhu, but if that's our name for it as yet,
yeah, I've heard about this. Yeah,
um, but we can certainly use whatever we got mentally or physically in a spiritual context of um,
I
so
agree.
meaning of life, which for some it's the same, some it's
Yeah, well, mm, are you asking for what exactly?
yeah. I was asking if you had a different answer for the meaning of life.
The meaning of life in general, I think it's just to record, to observe, to learn, to grow, to procreate, to like what the meaning of life is I think personally, I think we are a form of entertainment for um, higher powers. Um, that's what I think personally, but I don't really have a clear answer other than that. Like it seems to be to me that we are entertainment, and sometimes maybe more. Sometimes, in my case, there's some very specific things that I have to do, like I've been told. So that's my part of the thing. But yeah, from what I understand, it's entertainment mainly for deities, higher beings. I don't know exactly.
Well, I've now I was never formally accepted into the thing. I guess I swear I was hinted at in the podcast. It's like this guy's doing too much or something. And it's like,
Yeah.
I just don't do stuff for paperwork. It's not like open up a grimoire and here's another list of 100 things I can worship this year and all, the that's never my approach, but some people it's like that. They're like, um, but one of the things that he in some of his Carol Pocronian and Silverdale, California, something like that. Some of his ceremonies, he says something along the lines of spiritual entertainment.
Yeah.
It's spiritual entertainment offered to these entities.
Yeah,
of course, he reminds people that it grows through them first. So not only do you have to be careful ethic-wise and all the threefold law and all that sort of stuff, you got to whatever your spiritual operations, they're going through you. So
yeah,
that's probably one of the most important things a person needs to look at with that.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
When you do something, when you do the right thing,
yeah,
is it more likely to be out of love of doing good or pleasing God, personal enjoyment or pleasure, the hope of the results for your deeds, the fear of the consequences of not doing the right, or our hate for doing the wrong, or even those who wouldn't do the same?
well, it's like I cannot do evil. I've tried. I've really tried hard, like really tried. Like, okay, maybe one time I succeeded, but the other times I tried doing evil, and these people, they all ended up better off. So even if I just do what I do, and people end up, in a better position in their lives. I mean, it's like, I don't know. I don't really have a rich emotional life myself. I'm fairly antisocial, but yeah. So I don't know how. Yeah, love maybe, but it's like a deeper kind of love, like not human. That's what I like to
Well,
say.
that whole song, "More Than That Feeling," I'm not sure that really captures the whole thing, but it's a good phrase.
Yeah. Well, I have a lot of forces inside me. I was born out of the occult, that I have to say. I do have the spirit of Lilith in me. That's one part of me. It's a feminine part, very feminine. That's very important right now. Something you mentioned about the dark mothers. I've had one. In fact, I still do. They challenge me to be more feminine. And I really, God is saying the same thing to me, like, be a proud female, like, really get into it, because I was kind of wavering throughout my life because of, well, I've had relationships and females mostly, and they do tend to want to procreate. You can't really blame them, and they have
Well,
damaged.
that's one of the things that surprises some people. They talk, I'm not looking at the, whatever, but they, they thought for a while, oh, if we just allow the gay marriage, the women will have the women together will have the lowest divorce rate, and actually, that turns out not to be true.
No,
Um,
doesn't work like that. If only, but no.
but yeah, it turns out they have because one of the things that, yeah, naturally, whether they make that choice or not, it's just always on the back burner. It's like
Yeah.
one of the ways they say chemically we have this love based on a there's this sheer physical attraction, there's wealth and status, and no matter, even if these things get better, like somebody's career takes off and the acne goes away or whatever,
Yeah.
even that starts to fade after about 4.5 years or earlier.
Yeah.
Almost always earlier, but but one of the things to keep that going is to get that get that woman pregnant, and that will keep things going for an extra couple years. But the problem is if you don't got that character based love,
Yeah.
one of the worst things to do is to set up a relationship that's going to divorce around 4 or 5 for that, particularly for the young girl, for the young girl. That's the worst age for the parents to get divorced.
Yeah.
In terms of whatever.
Yeah.
And other people have different opinions, but that's just that's not as objectively based. But yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, you want to. It's important that people have that character because that's sort of the sign of the times. It's like they think that people talk about, oh, it's been defeated, like the typical Christian scheme. Things have been defeated and evil's been defeated and all that. It's like, wait,
Yeah, no.
didn't Christianity do more oppression and murder than all other faith groups combined?
Probably, I don't know.
Even the Buddhists, even throw the Buddhists in there that kill millions of people themselves, and the Hindus, millions of people themselves. It's still, you add everything together, Christianity is more than everything else combined. And but part of it's because they feel like, oh, well, it's been paid for. Other people's like, oh, I have to make up for my wrongdoing. I have to at least something. But
that's continual. You have to continually fight. It's always there. The struggle is continual. That's a part of the entire thing.
Well, I'm not sure I can find it quickly, but if you're familiar at all with the tarot.
With what?
With the tarot. One of the things about this is a different sort of death card, devil card here.
Yeah.
But the devil card there, to get in that whole evil thing, the devil card there is not that you just shut off those things, is that there's some sort of for all the evil and ignorance, there's like the other side of the same thing.
Yeah.
So a lot of things is just impatience. Like our problem with like the problem with the incel thing and everything, and a whole and the opposite people and whatever. It's all because they're like, oh, I feel like it, so I deserve it. I'm entitled to it right now, how I want it. And it's like, no.
I know.
What do you think happened before and during, if you think there was something mystical about birth?
Oh my. What happened before? I was asleep during my birth, actually. You had to wake me up. So
what do you mean?
I was just literally asleep. They thought I was dead. Then they tapped me on the doctors that delivered me. They tapped me on the back, and I started crying. My mother told me anyway. I don't actively remember it, but no, I could get there if I wanted to. But it's very unreliable. Those memories, they are different from memories that you create after a certain point when you start to understand language and that sort of thing. That's when you get your consciousness going. It doesn't immediately start when you're born. It just kind of grow into it, and those memories are still there. You're recording the all these sensations. They are stored somewhere, but it's not easy to access those memories. So I could if I tried, but I'd have to get I do a lot of altered states of mind, like dream states, trance, seizures. Even I sometimes induce seizures to get problems solved, because that's how I am.
So you target certain chemicals or
chemicals, strobe lights, anything really. It depends on what I'm after, but yeah, mainly chemicals. I'm a chemist. I mean, I can make
ingesting stuff. Okay,
yeah. It's the knowledge. It also comes from.
Well, the interesting thing I found out years ago, what's it, anandadine, the most universally beneficial chemical in marijuana, is also available in every other fruit juice. Apple, pear, nectarine. I don't know. It's in a lot of them.
Yeah, that could be true. Yeah, there's a lot of chemicals in marijuana, for sure.
And but it's but there's also the states that one reaches, as you know, we have 114 chakras, not just 7 baseline ones or one the so-called God mouth or whatever people have decided to call you know, the back of the head one that you
I don't know the names of all of them.
but there's if you define chakras in the same way you do the 5 to 9 baseline ones, then you have about 114. 114 is the recognized ones via the medical science, but they don't, of course, they don't call them chakras, but they, you know, based on the definition of chakra otherwise. And then you understand, you get into certain states. Some people through mushrooms, some people through, you know, the mystical state, you drop the adrenomedula and you vibrate it a certain way and you release ephedrine. You know, so both ephedrine and certain mushrooms can cause a person to, you understand that stuff. You understand all those cave paintings and stuff when you get yourself into that state, because you see this stuff, you feel it or see it coming out of certain parts of your face and stuff. I've never done it through drugs, but I've done it through targeting those specific regions through certain intonations and certain pressures and lack of sort of stuff.
Any method pilot,
like for example, you know, there's a reason why Shiva, whether you personify it and think it as separate or you consider it as just a divine name and, you know, drop that stuff. There's a reason why Shiva is associated with marijuana as it's the main drug, because you can supposedly have, now I know about the experience where you go, Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Nama Om, and you really get into that. And it's like your head's kind of
spinning,
drifting and stuff, and you're kind of,
I
and
know
you kind of get into that, you know, sort of thing. And then there's other stuff that you can do. You can find out, you know, pain can be relieved here. You can do stuff that's like seeing your dead ancestors or something like that. And
there's unlimited
possibilities. There's stuff beyond the brain, I think, but you know,
I can definitely attest to that. I've also
I myself, I believed I was a soul or had a soul or whatever you want to phrase it as. And then when I was 18, I had an experience doing a ritual on a mountainside, and I knew I had a soul. And it's totally different than whatever. It's not just, you know, some cloud inside you or something, but it.
You know it, when you know it, when you know something, that changes you. I know.
But it's like you can imagine stuff and all you want, and you can recollect this stuff, but it's not. These guided meditations, they're not the spiritual reality, but they can per se open you to the spiritual reality.
They can help, sure, of course.
Or they can contextualize it. You know, you set up some sort of psychic temple, and then stuff decides to come into that temple.
That's the basis of it. Just opening the doors. Use a key. It's like I don't know.
You've read any Adolf Huxley?
Come again, please.
Have you read any Adolf Huxley, or is that guy's name?
Aldous Huxley, you mean? I don't know any other Huxleys.
that guy, like 140 years ago. And
wait, on another Huxley. Okay, I think I may have heard about the name. I don't really have to look it up because I'm bad with names for one, and.
Well, I'm bad with names with people. I have a book in my hand, whatever. But people introduce themselves once, and you're expected to know their name. But the book, every time you pick up that book, or that book's on your shelf, you know.
I think I know what you mean. Well, I'm pretty sure. I'd have to look it up to be really sure. But usually, I look. I don't keep a lot of information in my head. Because it's too much, to be honest.
Like one of the person's got to live their life. It's devotion and intention are about as important as the other. I mean, you do learn some stuff here and there, like you don't need to memorize all the nerves and stuff when you like adrenochrome. Adrenochrome is not just some thing. Alex Jones he talked about adrenochrome and how adrenochrome would be produced naturally in the body. And
Yeah.
so it's not some you know, when they're selling when back in 2014 when the government sold all those kids in the I mean literally 1,400 something kids, I forget the exact number, disappeared from custody.
Oh.
And they weren't doing it for some adrenochrome thing. They were doing it because they're making money off of slavery. That's you know, that's
Yeah.
but the you know, it's not, you know, it's not some torture or kidnapping scheme or something like that that produces the adrenochrome. Basically, you know, again,
No.
it transforms in your body. So what you want to do is you charge yourself up and shock yourself and then
It's,
calm yourself, and then you get into it, and then it's like
yeah.
it's supposed to be what people experience in a good mushroom trip. I think it's the way he put it. But again, I don't want to kill myself out in the woods eating the mushrooms, particularly when you find out that you live on a property that has 3 mushrooms that if you have one bite, most people will die before the ambulance shows up.
Yeah, that's the nature of mushrooms. Don't mess with mushrooms.
And then
Really.
there's microdosing of some stuff, and it damages you over time, and you don't notice it as much because you're having itty bitty bit amounts, and then you end up spending 10 years, and you're like, then it finally catches up to you, and there's nothing you can do because you never had that shock of, you know, this is not good because
Yeah.
I've, you know, just taking itty bitty doses. But anyways, off on a tangent there. What do you think will happen to you during and after death?
Well, during death, well, death isn't pleasant. I've died before, I remember it. Like, so it's not pleasant. It's like you don't want to let go because survival mode kicks in and like body resists death. It's a painful process for me. I've done it before. What happens after it? Well, you go to the void. That's where you go. I died during time travel. So yeah, I might be a little more aware than most people, but yeah, it's, you go to the void and then you get pulled back out and then it starts over again.
Well, one of the things that keeps on coming up if you look into various mythologies is this idea of clinging. So if you're clinging to all this stuff here, if you realize it's means and you have a mission, you're doing your mission your best you can, it kind of smooth. But if it's not, and you have you're filled with all these regrets of what you should have done and shouldn't have done, and all that other stuff, and oh, I'm attached to this social or wealth related thing, then you're like, then it comes like ripping thorns out of a sheep.
They stay behind for a small while. Some people can do that. Like I've had a poltergeist here, driven them off though. It's like not really a problem. But yeah, sometimes spirits do stay a little while on Earth. I don't know how exactly how this works, but yeah, I've definitely experienced some kind of spirit form of people or maybe other beings. I don't know exactly what, but
Well,
so
some things can be left behind, and like it's not necessarily the person.
Not necessarily person. I don't know. It's like
like I wonder. I wonder. There was this place that I knew of as a teenager. This guy hanged himself,
yeah.
and he, you know, well, he knew that he was going to get some serious time for having murdered somebody, because it was that he was caught. He was caught for that, and so he killed himself. And for I didn't know how to deal with that sort of thing back then. It may not have made a difference because what the other people that connect to this place would have done, but that the place where this guy hung himself, yeah, that had this feeling. It had something with it, like forever.
Yeah, you can feel it. The same. I have the same with graveyards. I don't like graveyards. They make me uncomfortable. I cannot stay there.
Well, I personally like graveyards, but there's a difference between the graveyards. Like,
yeah,
if it's completely like, well, first of all this stuff, like, why in the world are you spending twice as much for a monument in a graveyard? And, you know, if you want your legacy and all that, so there's this like competition of wealth in the graveyards.
They're correct.
And so there's a difference you kind of feel between the different types of graveyards. There's the general graveyard, and like I honestly, I may not agree with a lot of stuff there, but theologically whatnot. But it feels better in a church or a synagogue graveyard than it is in a general town graveyard, I think. That's at least that's been my experience.
You might be right. I don't have many. They don't really divide graveyards up like that here, at least as far as I know.
Well, as a rule, it's just the commercial business, or the town has decided whatever. But sometimes the town, you find out there's a corner where, like, okay, this community has decided they're burying themselves in this corner, but it's usually more of a family thing. Is this family has said this part of the graveyard is ours, or however they set that stuff up.
They sell the lots for a lot of money. I don't want to leave any remains of myself on this earth personally.
Well, I've given instructions myself not to make things about not to waste money on embalmment, not to waste money on coffins. Not my best bed sheet, not my worst bed sheet. Find something without holes. Find something not too nice. Give the nice stuff to charity. But don't wrap me in a holy sheet carrying around.
Don't put more formalin in. Don't put more formaldehyde in.
Well, the thing is that the bodies, the people are like have this issue about all that stuff, but the bodies decay quicker. It just makes it look nicer for the funeral if you do all that stuff. And the stories of the people that die during all across the country, there's stories about embalmers that have said that they realized that people died during the process. They assumed they were dead in the first place, and they turned out not to be. It's not too common, but I bet it's a lot more common than is reported. At the very least, you're running the business. You don't want to tell people, there's a slim chance you might be you might end your relative might be alive, and that kills them.
Yeah, that's true. That I can definitely that definitely happens much more often than they might be willing to admit.
Well, there was a reason why some cultures they've decided to decide, we're going to wait a few days. I just think, if you don't go through all the rigmarole, like there's been even people declared like they had medical devices to tell their brain and stuff like this. A couple people were like actually listed as brain dead and buried, and they dug their way out of the grave weeks later. In the past 20 years, there's a couple cases that I've came across listed, and more people that just that their heart was listed or something like that. But which brings the question: when exactly a person dies? It seems pretty straightforward. Usually, when you stop breathing, that's it.
But not always. It's complicated. Nobody really knows when you die.
What do you believe about deity?
Come again, please.
What do you believe about deity, God? Whatever word you're going to use.
What I believe about is, well, they are like, I do believe that I know they exist, and there is something, a life form, if you will, very complex maybe, but there is definitely some force of nature, or I don't know what, I don't even know how to describe it. I don't have the words for it. It's very strong. I can feel all of them. They're not just one. They're just discrete spatial universes. They all have their own domains. And like, it's really weird. But you can see this, and for example, Lilith, she they have synthesized some kind of hybrid, and out of that came Jesus. So that's one part. So we know that they communicate. It's also described in literature, in the scripture, in Proverbs, for example. You can find all about the strange woman. And it's like, if you read the Zohar also, and there are other texts that describe this. So there's definitely, they definitely exist. I know so, because I can feel it. I just know. It's within me, because I was born like this. I had something happen to me very early, between 1 and 3 years of age. Something really bad happened to me. Like, not gonna, yeah, basically, yeah, that's how the occult works. They damage you, so you become more receptive to whatever force wants to come in. In this, my case, it was Lilith. Yeah, I don't know exactly why, because the circumstances are like, it's like demonic possession, basically. Of the person who did this to me, they were possessed. That's how I came to be. Here we are. So I know that there are deities. I don't know exactly how to explain what they are, but I know they are there. And Lilith and Yahweh, the other one, and then there's another one, and I don't know anything about them. There's nothing in scripture. There's nothing in anything. I really don't know what that means.
Well, some references are hard to find because it's like, you know, all that stuff in India. There's not 16 Puranas. There's at least a couple others. There's at least there's a few Vedas that there supposedly was a few more Vedas, and there was not 108 Upanishads. There's something like over 300 that they know of, but there's all sorts of slutis and slokas,
Yeah.
and I know there's more than 18 Purana, but I don't know how many more than 18